Listen, if you play Pokemon Pocket in any capacity, you are corny. And let me show you why. Because today, I've got the Pokemon Pocket corny Pokemon tier list right here, alright? I play so much Pokemon Pocket Ladder that I'm tired of y'all thinking y'all got skill or y'all got any sort of talent when it comes to playing these cards, alright? But let me introduce myself before I get too far ahead of myself so that y'all know what I'm talking about. My name is Slack Likely. I stream on Twitch. I make YouTube shorts sometimes. And at the time of recording this, I'm about top 2K on the ranked ladder. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to corny Pokemon. I see them all the time. I would greatly appreciate if you drop a sub or follow on Twitch or both, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Of course, we're still going to talk about the tier list no matter what, alright? So, let's get into it. First, we got our tiers right here. We got honorable mention, which is self-explanatory, right? It's self-explanatory. We've got corny by association, right? Which means that this Pokemon is not necessarily corny, but everything around it is pretty much corny. So by that merit, it ends up being corny. Next, we got you are the problem, right? Which means it's corny, of course, but it's manageable. It's corny, but it's manageable, right? So Pokemon in this tier are like, yeah, they're annoying to deal with, but it's not the end of the world when you run into them. Next up is you got no friends. Listen, if you're in this tier, I don't know what to tell you, bro. You corny. You just corny. You corny. You got no skill. You got no swag in your playstyle. Like, you got nothing, right? And then, last but not least, Corn Rider. This should be self-explanatory. I didn't gotta explain this tier. You are the corniest of corn if you play these cards. But without further ado, let's get started on the list, alright? I don't want to spend too much time on this. First is honorable mention, right? The only Pokemon that's going in here is Stoutland, alright? Now, Stoutland is... What? This card is awful, alright? Because when you play versus a Stoutland deck, it's almost like you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And your opponent drew Exodia, right? You need every single thing to go so crazily correct for Stoutland to work. And sometimes you play against his deck and your opponent does open all 5 pieces of Exodia. You can't totally avoid that, unfortunately. That's just part of the game, right? So for that reason, it's an honorable mention because this card is awful. You need so many things to go correct for it to work, but when it does work, it is really corny. Okay, next up, corny by association, right? And these are actually ordered, right? So it's gonna be, there's 10 Pokemon on here. This is where the actual tier list starts, right? Number 10 is gonna be Silvally, right? Now, in my opinion, my own personal opinion, Silvally and the Silvally engine with Gladion and Type Null is not corny at all. I don't think it's corny at all. I think it's a great engine. It's aggressive. It's just good. It's just good cards. But people think it's corny because they associate aggressiveness with corniness. I don't think it's necessarily corny for those reasons, right? But I was talking to my chat on Twitch when I was coming up with ideas for what is corny Pokemons on this, and Silvally came up not because it itself is corny, but everything around Silvally is corny. All of Silvally's friends, or all of Silvally's buddies, are very corny. Everything you pair with Silvally is corny. And half of the Pokemon on this list, maybe even more, have been paired with Silvally at some point, right? So Silvally itself is just good. It's strong. But when you pair it with literally every other card on this list, that's when the corniness starts to seep in. It's like rotten apples. But really, in my opinion, it's not that corny. I love Silvally. Okay, number 9. Number 9, corny by association, is this card right here. Sylveon. Sylveon EX. Listen. It is a very, very strong card, right? That can't be said enough. It's strong. You see it in a lot of decks. When it gets to a point where I'm like, okay, I have 14 cards left in my deck, but my opponent has gone Eevee, Sylveon, Oak, and they're like 3 cards left in deck when I still have 14 cards in my deck, that's when it really starts to get corny. But of course, Sylveon by itself doesn't really do all of the work, right? It just draws you cards. It's what you pair with Sylveon that makes it corny. Right now is Espeon EX, is pretty corny, but like when you see multiple Sylveons, that's when it gets really, really corny. You know, you see it with Charizard, you see it with a bunch of like janky, like garbage decks that would be garbage otherwise, but the draw power makes them good. I don't think it's inherently too corny by itself, but paired up with other things, like, yeah, gotta admit, is a little bit corny. And then we have number 8, which is this right here. Baby, right? And by baby, I'm talking, of course, about Magby and Peach, right? And honestly, it could go here, right? Could go here. But by the rules of corny by association, the cards themselves are not corny on their own merit, but are corny because of everything that you can pair them with, which is a bunch of the cards on this list too. They are very fast, they are very aggressive, and they are blatant power creep, right? You play them, it's like a little bit cool. It's just a little bit cool. Now, you are the problem here, right? Now, these Pokemon here, some of them are not entirely relevant, right? Like this one, for example. Number 10, 9, 8. Number 7, Meowscarada. Now, Meowscarada has not seen play in a couple formats, right? But anyone that played a ranked format where Meowscarada was viable, oh my god, this is so corny. This card is so unbelievably cool. Because all it does is counter EXs in a way that is just like, it's almost uncounterable back, right? So it's almost a blessing in disguise that EXs have become a little bit worse and regular Pokemon have become a little bit better, because that effectively forced Meowscarada out of the game. This is kind of a throwback pick for anyone that was playing, for example, during Darktina's first format. I'm glad Meowscarada's gone. It was extremely corny. During that format, it might be number 1 corny. It might be in the, if we're talking about Darktina's first format, it might be in Corn Rider tier, but it's in You Are the Problem now, because it's like a throwback pick, you know? As far as throwback picks go, this is also somewhat of a throwback pick, right? This is somewhat of a throwback pick, but you still see it pop up from time to time. That's Magnezone. Magnezone, oh my god, this is so corny. And it's almost corny for the same reasons as Stoutland, in that you need so many different pieces to come together to make this, right? You need Sylveons to make it. You can't use rare candy, and it's a stage 2, right? But you need that to make it work. And the Pokemon that pops out is really good because the middle stage is really good. Yeah, I'm so tired of seeing Magnezone, because so it's one of two things, right? Either they got a god hand and they should go buy a lotto ticket, or you have a skill issue on your end. And sometimes, who knows, it might be my own skill issue that makes this feel corny. But this Pokemon is corny. If you play a Magnezone deck, you are corny. Because after this is where we start going up to the You Got No Friends tier. Alright? You Got No Friends tier is starting with this fat idiot right here. Actually, I have no qualms with Snorlax as a Pokemon, right? But in Pokemon Pocket, Snorlax EX is so goddamn corny. Because, listen, the deck that's using it right now most is Snorlax, Ho-Oh, Darkrai. And the main strategy is to put this fat idiot in the front and stall. And you're just gonna stall and stall and stall, and it's hard to one-shot, and then you're just gonna bounce it out the second it takes damage. And it's just a stall deck. It's literally just a stall deck until you're ready to do something with Ho-Oh and then put it back in, right? This Pokemon is so corny, bro. Like, I think like, hey, I want to be on the train. I got 10 minutes till my stop. Let me hop into a quick Pokemon Pocket game. And then I see this fat idiot pop up on the active, and I'm like, bro, this is gonna be like a 30-minute game on my phone. Like, my stop's coming up, man. I can't do this. I can't do this. It's gonna be 15 turns before any of us pulls the trigger on what we're trying to do, right? Man, I hate it. You got no friends if you play this deck, really. But next, the real You Got No Friends deck is this right here, Charizard, bro. Man, this almost deserves to be in Corn Rider. It actually almost deserves to be in Corn Rider. This is like straight gambling deck. You have no agency. You have no control over what's happening when you see Charizard coming. Do they see it or do they not? The only way to counter this is to be cornier than them is the unfortunate. But I think that the last 3 Pokemon on this list are so much cornier than Charizard that it has to go down here. They just push it out into the next year because the corn levels are crazy. Number 3, Greninja. Oh my god, this card is so goddamn corny. This card is so unbelievably corny. Because it's strong, but if you don't see all the pieces, it is awful. It is awful. And you know what it does? It basically breaks the rules of the game. Yeah? Like, you can't put things in the back because there's the risk of Greninja existing. And if they start getting poked, then you're probably going to lose the game. But sometimes you have to risk putting things in the back because you have to set them up, right? So it's a risk reward versus, does my opponent have Greninja or not? They haven't shown it to me, or they have shown it to me. They have it and I can't do anything about it. It puts all your Pokemon in range of Cyrus plus Giratina, for example, which is what it's often paired with. And also paired with Sylveon, corny by association, right? But the crazy thing is, and the reason why this is in Corn Rider, because the decks that use Greninja would completely fall apart if Greninja doesn't. Like, I think about Giratina, Sylveon, Greninja, right? If you remove Greninja from this equation, this is not a deck, right? If you remove Sylveon from this equation, Giratina, Greninja is still a deck, right? If you remove Giratina from this equation, Greninja with like probably Oricorio or some other attacker is still a deck. Greninja literally is lifting this deck on his back. This deck that would otherwise just be a pile of what? But believe it or not, and listen, I hate playing against Greninja, but there are 2 Pokemon that are cornier than Greninja, as you can see from the bottom. Number 2, Rampardos. Oh my god, bro. If I could start a Rampardos hate club, I would. Because this Pokemon is ignorant. This Pokemon is ignorant. It should be a detriment that this Pokemon doesn't have a basic. It only has fossils, right? But people actually end up using this to their advantage, and it becomes a positive thing. You can't open the fossils, because opening the fossils would be really bad. And then, with Rare Candy plus Rampardos, you have an instant burst for 130 with 1 energy on a single prizer. Oh my god, this is ignorant. And realistically, there was some talk of it before Rare Candy came out, and right now people aren't really using it, but it still pops up and it is still corny when you do see it. I literally cannot tell you how many games I've gone where, okay, I'm going to play around everything my opponent is doing. My opponent has a fossil sitting in the back, whether it be Garchomp or his Silvally version, and the fossil is just sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to deal with the immediate threat, right? Because you have to. The fossil's not doing anything at the moment. But the second you basically won the game, that exact turn, they top decked the piece that they needed, either the Rare Candy or the Rampardos, they touch it down and you just lose the game because it attacks for 1 energy. Oh my god. This is the corniest. The corniest. And I'm saying it's the corniest, and there's still 1 Pokemon on this list. And that should be no surprise when you saw it from the beginning of the tier list. That is Oricorio. Oh my god, this yellow chicken. Oh my god, I hate this. This Pokemon has single-handedly warped the entire game, right? People build decks based around this 1 Pokemon. It is always corny. It is always corny. Because this Pokemon makes it so that you can't cook with any deck. You can't have fun with any random EX anymore. Because you have to have an answer to this. If your deck does not have a good answer to chicken, it's basically unviable. It is unviable. On ladder, it's unviable in tournaments. I'm literally so sick of seeing this thing pop up when I'm playing a deck that uses EX. And what's even more corny about it is that if you're playing a deck that doesn't use EXs, like if you're playing some sort of Silvally variant, this thing is awful. It's awful to play it. It feels awful to play it. It feels like when you click the Q button on ranked, you're just rolling the dice to see, oh, do I queue into an EX deck? Do I queue into a non-EX deck? Like, motherfuckers are really drooling at their phone like, Yellow Oricorio, yes sir. Like what? There's no skill, bro. You're just corny. Probably the even worse part of it is that this Pokemon looks so happy. This thing looks so happy to be doing what it's doing, but it is a menace. It is a menace and is ruining the game with its levels of corniness. But hey, listen, that is the tier list, alright? Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any Pokemon that I missed. Feel free to tell me what other Pokemon you think are corny or if you agree with this tier list. And if you catch me playing any of the Pokemon on this list, or if you catch your friends playing any of the Pokemon on this list, you gotta cut them off, bro. Anyways, let me know what you think about the list. And of course, I'll see y'all next time. Peace.